So, Matt, we were just talking about the time you got arrested when you were 12 years old.
Yeah, not many people know about that one.
Well, a whole heap more people know about it now. Do you want to expand a bit on that story?
Yeah, mate, it was back when my parents were in the Air Force, and I had a bunch of mates. We used to fly around the Air Force base on our push bikes, and one of the boys dared me to see how far I could do a wheelie down the runway of the Darwin RAF base. So I jumped on my treadly and proceeded to do a big wheelie all the way down, which held up a couple of the Hornet jets from landing and had to take off again. And that, of course, got the RAF police flying out in their cars and chased me through the bush and grabbed me and threw me in the lockup at 12 years old. So, yeah, good times.
So while it may not have made you good friends with the police, I'll just throw up some vision of you doing some gear on your bike now. It has held you in good stead in terms of being all right on the motorbike. And you mentioned doing a wheelie there. You hold the record for a few things along those lines. The longest and fastest burnout, the most donuts in a minute.
Yeah, no, I've got quite a few records since I started doing this as a job, and a couple of them have been broken since I broke them. But yeah, I got the Guinness World Record for the fastest wheel stand on a motorbike, which was 225 kilometres an hour for 1 kilometre. And I got a fastest stoppie, which is rolling on the front wheel of a motorbike, and that was at 212 kilometres an hour for 70 metres. And then I got longest burnout, which was, I think it was 1,650 metres, and most donuts in a minute.
Which is 24, last I heard. Unless you've broken it. 24 last I heard, unless you've broken that recently.
24, but I think someone beat it over in Europe and got 25.
So what I'm curious on, what's the most recent record you've broken, and then what's the next one you're going for?
Oh, crikey. The next one I'm going to go for, I'm probably going to do it in the next couple of weeks. I'm going for longest wheel stand on a Harley Davidson. And I'm going to try and crack between 80 and 100 kilometres. Just on my next week, I'm travelling up to do the Fink Desert Race, and then onto the Darwin for the V8 Supercars.
Pretty impressive, mate. Hey, with all those records under your belt, more than enough credibility running your own stunt group, Stuntz Inc. Do you want to tell us a little about your team at Stuntz Inc?
Yeah, sure. It's been stunt riding now for 12 years full time, and since I started all the events that hire me, I always wanted more and more riders and different acts, and so I've kind of built up my own team, which are spread out. The riders and drivers are spread all over Australia, and it's kind of blossomed with car drivers and drifters, and I got a jet ski racer, and I've got a couple of stuntmen that are in movies, and one guy up there in Japan for Universal Studios. So it's a broad spectrum of all different types of action sports. So it's built up to be pretty good.
And you mentioned some work in movies, a pretty impressive repertoire for Stuntz Inc. with Mission Impossible 2, the Matrix movies, Superman, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, just about every major film that's been done in Australia, my Stuntz Inc. boys have worked in, along with myself. I did all the motorbike stunt work in Mission Impossible 2 for Tom Cruise, which was kind of the highlight of my career. And so it's, wearing just about every movie this motor here, one of my boys has been in, so it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I imagine that would have been a highlight in Mission Impossible 2. Did you get to meet Tom Cruise in doing that?
Yeah, I worked by his side for about 7 weeks, and so it was pretty weird to be sitting in a director's chair beside him on lunch breaks and stuff like that. Good times.
So, being a stuntman for Mission Impossible 2, did he bring you in to jump on the couch on the Oprah Winfrey show as well?
I've paid $1 for every time someone's asked me that one. Yeah,
no. No, that's I imagine he could probably handle that stunt himself.
Yeah, I think he can do that one. It wasn't too bad on the motorbike. He did a little bit of riding in it, but that's all the tricky stuff to me.
Mate, you guys do a lot of work at all the sort of motocross events around the place, Formula 1, MotoGP, Bathurst. Is there a standout for you guys?
Oh, mate, there are a few that we really enjoy. Like you said, we do every major motorsport event in Australia, ranging from the motorbikes, like the MotoGP to all the Bathurst and stuff like that. But probably a favourite is my home round at Indy, or it was Indy, now it's the V8 Supercars. It's always a good one to do a home event, and we get the biggest following up here at home. Or the MotoGP coming up, that's always a great one. Good international events are always the biggest and best.
Yeah, you love it when there's a big crowd. Hey, just as I'm talking to you, we're watching some footage of you and some pretty high endorsements from some big names. Kerry Hart just talking you up with some of the work you do. Is him either Kerry or are there other people that, for yourself, leading the way in what you're doing that you look up to for inspiration?
Oh, for sure. There's a couple of guys in Europe that are just a mile above the rest. Australia's a little bit behind in the road bike stunt scene. We try and keep the bar at a high level for all the rest of the riders in Australia to try and catch up to. But yeah, overseas there's a couple of guys like Christian Pfeiffer, who's the world champion, street bike freestyle, amazing. Watch all of his clips on the internet and try and emulate everything he does.
And is that where you guys, when you're looking to come up with new tricks, is it those guys you're looking for? Are there other sort of ways that you guys are going about coming out with new things to do?
Yeah, no, pretty well. They lead the way, and every now and again you watch a clip of them and they pull a trick out and you're like, oh my God, how they do that? So you go out and practice it and fall off and hurt yourself and work out what you did wrong and watch the clip and try it again until you get it right. And by that time, when you've got it right, they've come up with something else. So you're always playing catch-up.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, you mentioned coming off. I'm sure you've had some injuries over the years. What's the biggest injury you've copped?
I've had far too many injuries in my time. I've broken 33 bones, fractured 33 bones. Last year I fractured a few vertebrae, which was a bit scary. But probably my major accident, I've had 2 compound fractures of my left femur. So my left leg's just titanium where my femur was supposed to be. So that's a pretty major one.
Yeah, that'll do. That passes as a pretty reasonable injury.
Yeah, no, it was pretty big. Lost a few quarts of blood and was in hospital for about 4 or 5 weeks. That was a good one.
Mate, very impressive. Have you got any advice for a young guy wanting to get into stunt riding?
Yeah, it's just persistence and practice. People always say, oh, I can't do that, and we all start at the same time, same level. It's just a matter of practicing, but I'd suggest make sure you do it in a legal, safe environment. Don't do it on the streets. Gives everybody a bad name, and don't do wheelies down runways for sure.
I was going to say, don't do it on the streets or along an airplane runway.
Knew that was coming.
Matty, and can you throw out the website where people can find you guys at Stuntz Inc?
Yeah, for sure, mate. It's www.stuntzinc.com, and where we keep regular updates on that every week or so with every event that we do. Plus, there's a whole stack of our latest and greatest DVDs and merchandise.